When we do not see ourselves through God's lens, we become insecure. He sees and hears our cries and is faithful to us when we are faithful to Him. But when we coward, we can't hear His voice because our fear is greater than our faith, leaving us spiritually bankrupt. In the natural, we see people bounce back from financial bankruptcy, and some never do. Just as some never gain spiritual freedom in the spirit because they choose not to make the necessary adjustments to liberate themselves. They cowered and they let life's defeat dictate their actions and not dictating their own lives. They are foolish. They are like the foolish bride who is unprepared for the time of the bridegroom. The enemy besieges them and they falter. Coward, holding out a holy pan, prizes and treasures he cannot land, into the vessel of a holy man. Holy man, where's your value? Losing everything that you gain because you do not choose to let go of the pain. You coward. How can you lead a home in which you cannot feed? Vultures lurk in the dark, devouring your fearful heart. Coward, where is your backbone? Weak and broken, you cannot stand. You don't move when your name is called. Stricken with fear is all you hear, not realizing the King stands near. Choosing fear over faith. In hell, you set your faith. Coward, you were duty bound. You chose defeat and forfeited your crown. You will never know how much you were loved. You wear your fear like it was a glove. Take your crown of thorns, you coward, for you have earned it. Your life in pieces, you have affirmed it. Hello, and welcome to Shante's Corner. So the poem I just read to you guys is from my book, Take Courage, Do It Afraid. And that poem, as well as the intro that I read to it, is from the section called The Coward. And cowarding is something that many people do. They may not like to talk about it, but we all have things that we fear. Honestly, that's what it is. We fear that hold us back from doing what we are called to do, what our purpose in our life is. And many people stay in a stagnant state because of fear. They'll rather do something that they know that they can do better than to move forward. So as I welcome you guys into Shante's Corner on today, we are here to uplift, support, encourage each other. And so that's what I hope that poem is kind of, for me, it was the intro, the way God showed it to me, was the stages that I went through. There was a time where I was a total coward. Even me getting up here doing this, I took a public speaking class. It helped a lot. I tell you guys, I'm a lot better at public speaking now, but I know it's a passion for me because I want to help people. And the only way you can do that is to speak, is to share your story, your trials, your testimony of what you went through in life. And for years, I've always known this is what I wanted to do. I can't say I've always known, but since a young age, I knew that I wanted to encourage people because I didn't want another child with a disability, a child who was different than everybody else, to go through life like I did. I felt alone. And I can tell you when that started, part of it, because, I've been, God has shown me so much over the past few years about a lot of where it comes from for me. And my cowarding initially started, parts of it, is when I was diagnosed as with the optic glioma. And so today, you guys, you could look at me and see that one eye is different, but it wasn't always that way. And I'll actually share a picture here. Um, it wasn't always that way. My eyes looked normal when I was a kid. So with technology not have been being like it was now, like it is now, I guess that they didn't realize that there was an issue until I was older, and I wasn't diagnosed with that until like my second and third grade year, as far as I remember, is when I went from being a child that didn't wear glasses to wear my first glasses in third grade, which I hated. But I can tell you, my second grade picture is my favorite picture of me as a kid. Then my third grade picture, I think I was a little cute kid, but my fourth grade picture, I hate that picture. I even scared myself with that picture one time. I was like, who is that? But as you can tell, I told you guys, I went through a lot of self-hate, honestly. There's no other way to describe it. And it took me, honestly, till a few years ago, when I really began my relationship with Christ, to begin to heal that, because I had to go back and deal with the stuff that began in childhood that caused me not to like myself. And that was one of them, realizing that everybody didn't see the world the way I did. They had I guess what you would say, naturally a clear view, because they had both eyes. And, being a kid, I just assumed everybody saw things like I did, and that's when the name started. I don't remember as a kid being called names before I was diagnosed with the optic glioma. But after that, I went from the bubbly little kid to the sheltered little kid, because I felt out of place. And growing up in a small town, people with disabilities were pretty much pushed into the special ed class. And so thank God that my family didn't allow that, and I was able to attend regular classes. But it was a struggle when you had teachers that didn't understand disabilities, teachers that discriminated because of people with disability, and the hurtful things that kids say. But I'll still tell you, I can understand kids now, but it's the adults that really the ignorance of the adults that piss me off most of the time. But we cowered away from things, and I don't want another child to feel that way. And it caused a lot of mental issues, and it's something that in the minority community, especially the Black community, that we don't like to talk about, and we shelter those people away. That you call them, they get a crazy check, they get they are retarded, and that's not cool, because so many of us deal with mental issues. I've talked a lot about my depression, my suicidal thoughts, and you have to deal with it. And part of it is not hiding it, not keeping it secret, but starting to speak out about it. And so that's what I had to learn to do in order not to get stuck in that place again. And there's this rapper, that I first got introduced to when I really began my faith in F, who speaks a lot about mental illness. And I really can relate to that, as somebody that has struggled with that my whole entire life since, I don't know if that's where it began, but more than likely that is where it began, because it's when I was separated. I wasn't like the other kids. I became the the one that wasn't the smart one, which is how, because my cousin and I are the same age, and she was considered the smart one. And I wasn't. So I was even to the point sometimes, people would think I was her, and I'll say, no, that's my cousin. She's the smart one. And it just shows you how we label ourselves because of how people have labeled us. So we coward. We push back our potential because and at times we get to where we don't want to stand out because we don't want to be different. But no matter how I've already spoke about this, that no matter how I try to fit in, I wasn't meant to just fit in. And now I can thank God that he made me the way I am, but I still go through struggles. Life isn't easy. People always think Christianity is, you give your life to Christ, it's perfect. But one of the things that God showed me is, as this Christian journey, you go up hills, you got to climb boulders, you got to climb ladders, you got to go down in valleys. This Christian walk is not easy. When you give your life to Christ, it's not easy at all, because you have to go back and deal with those things that you didn't want to deal with. So I want to leave you guys with today, don't be that coward. It's a journey to go from that coward to the warrior, which I talk about throughout my poetry in that book, Take Courage Through the Afraid. And it is a journey. It's not just give your life to Christ, you go to being this, doing everything right. It's a process, because you have to unlearn all those things you've learned in life, all those things you thought about yourself. And that's such a journey. So all I can say is, guys, begin that journey. Heal. It's all a part of healing. And in order to be the person you know that you've been called to be, you have to heal. When you're holding on to the hurt, you're not hurting the person that angered you, the person that hurt you, you're hurting yourself. And a lot of times that's what we don't like to admit. So I'll leave you guys with that on today. And as I always tell you guys, let your words speak.